gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to 1741 on the Terrace. It is on this incredible spot that the first house in Bethlehem was built in 1741. I wish it had survived, but the Eagle Hotel in 1823 took its place. I sort of wish that had survived, but the Hotel Bethlehem took its spot in 1922 and has been here since. On this spot lived Benigna von Zinzendorf. Benigna thought differently. The early Moravians who came to Bethlehem thought differently. They lived in peace and solidarity with the Native Americans. They founded the first school in the United States of America for women. That school was so incredible. You know whose grandniece came here? George Washington. It was so incredible. You know whose other grandniece came here? George Washington. We've got those in our archives building. It's pretty incredible. Where we will hold this conference, you will be presenting in rooms where George Washington spoke, where John Adams spoke, where Benjamin Franklin spoke. And my co-conference chair, Kathy Bruce, and I dare to tell you your action research is as important and as vital as what those early leaders were doing. We saw, right? Okay. We saw that today in action. We saw it right here in Bethlehem at Liberty High School, where Moravian alumna Ali Tannous is making a difference for children transitioning from middle school to high school. You heard how devastated she was with those scores. You heard me try to say, don't be devastated by that. I knew what those scores were before we gave the kids the tests. Those scores tell us what their parents make. Their parents live on the south side of the river. They don't make as much. That's not fair. And the action research that Ali is doing makes a difference and makes change. Now, Ali can't be here tonight. You know, she is expecting and she is doing incredible work, but accepting on her behalf will be the leader of today's event, Bridget Doklin. Now, Bridget, before you come up, you were the power behind the event today, because all I had to do was to say, when I was in York, England, and John Eliot gave a speech that said, what is action research for? Okay, after the master's degree, if all it's for is to get the credits. And I thought, you know what, John? You are a world leader in action research. You have transformed teaching and learning around the world. And I know the answer to that question because I've lived it. Bridget is an incredible English education alumna of Moravian, and she organized today's event. What you don't know is Bridget wasn't on the event today because her school is west of New York City. So we couldn't visit her kids in her classrooms. Bridget wrote a master's thesis that Kevin referenced today about Socratic circles. For that action research, she should have her PhD. And if we were a PhD granting institution, she would. Her study is publicly available, it's on our website, and you'll see what I mean. So please, let's honor Bridget Doklin and all she did for today's event. You are amazing. Okay. All right, so we left Liberty High School, built in 1919 as a World War I memorial, because this city said all children deserve an education again, just like Benigna had done. And this time, not just an elementary education, but a secondary education. Well, we made our way into New York City, to the incredible New York City iSchool. And of course, that building built, you know, a generation perhaps before Liberty High School, but a similar model, large, comprehensive urban high school. Well, now we have a new generation of teachers transforming teaching and learning at the New York City iSchool. I am so proud of what Nathan Snyder has accomplished. He is an impeccable teacher, first rate in what he gets his students to do. His action research method is empowering students through their inquiry to do research. He's a freaking modest guy, because it's not until we came back to Bethlehem that I knew that his kids had performed at the United Nations and did a rap, and he said, "Oh, Joe, take a look at this." Well, I just saw it on the UN homepage, and I've asked his permission to share it at tomorrow's conference. Nathan, thank you for what you are doing to transform American education.
Thank you.
When Bill Ayers was here on campus a few years ago, he said, "Joe, there aren't many people I meet across America who really are more energetic than I am, but you're one of the few," okay? Kevin, there aren't many people I meet who are more energetic than I am, but you're one of the few. You are a brilliant educator, transforming lives. You're the most humble guy I know, but you do action research in every moment of your existence in your classroom. Thank you for transforming American education. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. So, one last note about Kevin. A few years back, when he gave the graduate student commencement address, I had to go to him and say, "Buddy, I'm incredibly proud of you, but I submitted a proposal to a conference in San Diego. It looks as though they're doing incredible work there. I don't know because I've never been there, but I really think I have to go and find out." And I missed his address to meet Lonnie Rowell and to discover the incredible work that was going on the West Coast. Kevin, you gave a phenomenal address because I got to see the video, but if I had come and not gone to see Lonnie, I wouldn't have met Margaret, and I wouldn't have met Jean McNiff, and this particular sequence of events would have played out differently. It would have played out because Lonnie Rowell had a vision. I'm just so thankful that we could be part of that vision. Part of what happened through that was a collaboration with CARN, the Collaborative Action Research Network. CARN is based in the UK, began as the Classroom Action Research Network founded by John Elliott, Major Ford Foundation money, pre-Reagan, pre-Thatcher, when teachers and other practitioners could control the research agenda. Okay, politics intervened. However, the work that John has done, the work that CARN has done, has perpetuated that vision. This evening's event is CARN's study day, and I am deeply indebted. All of my colleagues in ARNA are deeply indebted to the CARN coordinating group for all they have given in contributing to ARNA. And I am so honored to welcome to you our liaison and a member of the CARN coordinating group, Dr. Mary McAteer from Edge Hill University in the UK. Mary, we adore you.
Proud and so privileged and so honoured to be here. I work with teacher education in the United Kingdom, and I haven't had the opportunity to go and visit any of my students in the classrooms for quite a number of years. And today I had total immersion in classrooms, and it was absolutely wonderful. I have been a member of CARN for probably about 20 years now, and been on the coordinating group for about 5 or 6 of those years. I've organised a CARN conference, I've done lots of work through CARN, and I must say one of the things that I've always felt I owed to CARN was my own doctoral study. I did, in the UK, there are different models of doing doctoral study, and I did the old-fashioned DPhil model, where you sat and slaved away on your own, and a supervisor met you every so often, and you had the support of a supervisor, but no cohort group. And every time I was writing something, my supervisor would say, "You've got to bring that bit to your CARN conference and test it out." They would become your community of critical friends. And I would honestly say that the feedback I got at CARN conferences just shaped and polished everything I wrote for my own PhD. I'm delighted that when you gave your notes and your introduction, Joe, you mentioned the work that John Elliott had done in founding CARN all of those years ago. They were different times, they were less challenging in many ways, but they had challenges of their own. And I'm always reminded when I think of action research of some of the words that Elliott used, and one thing he said is, the primary purpose of action research is to improve practice. And those words kind of came with me all through today, because I thought, well, what happens after you do the Masters? Is there evidence of this improved practice? Or was it just that hurdle to get the letters MA or M whatever after your name? And when we visited Ali's school, all around on the walls of the school were little quotations and inspirational speech quotations and logos and so on. And the one that really struck me and kept with me the rest of today was, what you do today can improve all of your tomorrows. And I thought that's a pretty important message to give kids, but it's a pretty important message for us as teachers to take with us. Because what we do can improve not only our tomorrows, but the tomorrows of all the children that we work with. And it was a real delight, an absolute delight and a privilege to see 3 totally different schools, 3 totally different practitioners, 3 totally different communities that those schools were located in. And to see in each and every one of those cases, teachers who were taking the opportunity from their own action research to change their own tomorrows, but passionately dedicated to changing the possible tomorrows for the students that they worked with. And I thought again about Elliott's words, action research, its primary purpose is to improve practice. And I thought, well, it's more than that. It doesn't just transform practice, it transforms lives. The 3 teachers we saw today, and it was funny, I had a brief chat with Kathy as we were coming in, and we were saying, you find action researchers and you kind of sniff them out, because they're the people that everybody else thinks is a bit of a pain in the bum. Because they're enthusiastic, they're energetic, they're committed, they're passionate, and they never let go of the thing. They're always asking questions. And that was so evident today. These people were exposing their practice, their beliefs, their values, their very way of being in their community. They were exposing all of that to constant and critical questioning. Not to knock it down, but to make it better and better and better. And I was just so impressed by the empowerment that was happening in their own lives. It was evident, and I guess looking at these 3 teachers, there was a lot going on before they did their Masters as well. Maybe that's because action research also attracts that sort of person. I don't know. There are lots of questions in there. But I think you have people who had genuinely been enormously transformed and empowered by what they had done. And they started doing slightly crazy things, the things that everybody thinks you shouldn't do. Because testing, and certainly in the UK, and I think there's probably evidence of that in the United States, testing is pretty high stakes. And when you set up an assessment structure for school pupils, what you do is you imply a pedagogy. And you imply a pedagogy that's quite closed and narrowed and focused on just jumping that hurdle, jumping through the next hurdle, and then thinking, oh, and there's another one, and I'll jump through that as well. But actually, there are ways of creatively mediating that. And sometimes it takes a brave teacher to do that. I remember very well facing this tension in my first action research study as a classroom teacher and thinking, I owe it to the kids to get them through the tests, because actually that's kind of their currency for getting on in life. But I owe them so much more than that. I feel morally obligated to give them the rich experience, and I think each school that we visited today, there was such a strong sense of moral purpose. And again, you read the theory about action research, and it is a moral activity. It's about doing the right thing. It's not about a competency model. When we think of practice, certainly in the UK, we've got dead hung up on competency. And it's quite a reductionist approach. It stops people being the best they can be, and it stops them, thinking differently, and it stops them working outside the box. And today, different people did that in different ways. I'm just trying to think. There's just one or two other little things I wanted to say. Ali mentioned something this morning that struck a very deep chord with me, because I think it surprised and maybe even shocked Kathy earlier when I said to her, we're here to present together on maths, and I'm a physics teacher by background. That's what I actually did for about 22 years. But Ali said something today about, when you have these problems in your practice, you can't just keep reacting to them and just doing something. And she said you need to reflect on what the nature of the problem actually is. And the person who first, to my mind, said that in a very eloquent way was Karl Popper, the philosopher of science. And he said, what do we do when we have a problem? We don't go and solve it. We don't try to solve it. First, we must become better acquainted with the problem. And to me, I didn't know he did action research, but that's exactly what action research is. It's about problematizing our lives. I spoke to Nathan afterwards, and he was saying about the children in the school do a lot of problem solving. And I said, do they ever do any problem posing? Do they create their own problems? And he said, that's their path. We take them right up there, and as they enter the senior phase of the school, they start generating their own problems, their own research questions. And I thought that's a very, very important life skill, and it's a very empowering thing to do. I think all of the teachers today also demonstrated something which I think it behoves us all to remember, that as a teacher, you have an unbelievable amount of power in your hands. The influence that you exert over so many young lives is frightening. It's phenomenal. And if you recognize that and you work in a way that has such a deep moral purpose, then I think you know how to use that influence in a very positive and in a very good way. I could sense that, I could feel that coming through today. I think what they were doing is quite a powerful counter-model to the reductionist approach to assessment and competence and so on, and yet it doesn't negate that. It takes it as sort of bare minimum, but let's do the good stuff. And I'm just going to finish by saying that, and I am conscious of my power tonight because I have the power of finding meat according to Joe. But for the past 18 months, I've been spending some time on a maths education project in South Africa, working as a volunteer with the black teachers there who have very, very limited resources in their schools, and they come for 2-week residentials. And a group of us from all over the world just come and do this on a volunteer basis. And it's probably the most important thing I've ever done in my life, apart from have my 3 children. It's at that level It's that meaningful. And I was there all during Mandela's last illness, and the people, they loved him and they talked a lot about him. And it just made me think, it was Mandela who said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I think we saw that today. I think we saw lives being changed. I think we saw communities being changed. And we certainly saw, 3 very, very powerful teachers. And whatever they've been doing there, I think also reflects on the quality of what they've done with Joe in college, in their actual research studies, and in their connection with each other. There's this funny sort of global connectedness that has happened now, which I think allows us to bring all these things together. And in a way, even 10 years ago, we probably couldn't have connections so much easier now. So I'm just finishing off by thanking you, Joe, for inviting me here today for this, and thanking the CARN coordinating group for allowing me to be the liaison person with ARNA, or as Joe has now called it, CARNA. I think turned up in a recent email, which I thought was a nice sort of hybrid. But it is a privilege and a pleasure to have been able to travel across and be part of this. And I'm so much looking forward to the next couple of days, because I know from last year's experience it was fantastic. So thank you all for being here, and thank you Bridget for organising such a wonderful day today, and Kevin and Nathan and Ali in her absence. Thank you.